Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to this session. I'm Drishti, your host for today. Today's session is on building sustainable hybrid work models in SMEs and startups. This is part of an exclusive masterclass series brought to you as part of SME Corner initiative by KEKA and People Matters. Small businesses and startups may be smaller in size and scale, but they have the potential to fuel economic growth and drive higher productivity for the entire nation. However, for exponential growth to foster, these companies need to scale faster and more sustainably. To help SMEs and their leaders, People Matters and KEKA presented this exclusive masterclass series. In the first two editions, we've discussed the ideas to drive strategy and execution and lead impactful digital transformation in startups, SMEs, and fast growing organizations. Today, in the last module, we discuss building sustainable hybrid work models. The evolving talent demands are challenging traditional workplace practices, thereby requiring leaders to redesign existing work arrangements and to make room for more flexibility. Are MSMEs, startups, and these fast growing organizations ready for this change? Today, we will explore this complex and evolving model of work and understand what works for you. Before I invite our panelists, I want to take this opportunity to thank the KEKA team for always being at the forefront of this conversation, for supporting us to put today's agenda together to advance forward as we talk about HR for SMEs. To know more about this series and get the latest insights in best HR practices in SMEs and startups, keep following hashtag SME Corner. Now, time to welcome our speakers for today. We have today with us Nishi Ganda as Manager People Success Fynd. Nishi is a growth mindset HR leader with expertise in people success strategies, a go-to person to deal effectively with people-related ambiguous and unstructured problems and situations in the company. That's why the best to talk about this evolving model of work today. Welcome, Nishi. Great to have you.
Thank you, Drishti. I'm really excited to be here.
We also have with us Kshitij Sachan, Lead Process Strategist KEKA. With a decade of experience in process consulting, Kshitij has helped more than 1,300 organizations in adopting HR tech automation. From conducting leadership training workshops to employee engagement sessions, he effectively helps organizations onboard the automation. Welcome, Kshitij. Great to have you.
Thanks, Rishi. Always good to be here.
All right. So before we dive into decoding the hybrid work models and I hand it over to Nishi, first we would like to hear from you, Kshitij, that how important it has become for HR leaders to embrace the new evolving models of work and also talk about the changing role of HR in SMEs. Over to you,
Right.
Kshitij.
Thanks, Drishti. Right. So it's a very wide question, actually. So to answer this question, let me go a little bit into the history of how hybrid work started. Right. So somewhere close to 2020, when the COVID pandemic situation happened, almost every organization went through a continuity planning. Like there were things to be changed. There were the workforce was available, right? But to a certain extent, like being remote was a challenge, right? So looking at looking at the positions that were built, right? So hybrid was something which was the most feasible option to operate the workforce, right? So down the line, since like now 2 years are gone, we are seeing a lot of evolution happening in that space, right? So hybrid is slowly coming back to the old normal, right? But I think there are some of the things which are permanently changed, right? So I have a survey here, right? So we conduct surveys with markets, right? So there are some of the survey intelligence that I want to share here for our viewers. One is 87% of the employees are worried, so till, this is one of the recent surveys, couple of months back. So 87% of the employees were worried about their safety when they come to work. Second survey stated 63% employees were favoring a hybrid work model, right? Where some of the days they want to come to office, some of the days, it depends, right? It's not necessary to be in office every day. And a lot of work rules are designed from that aspect itself. Then 77% companies are now operating on hybrid. So these are some of the statistics that we had from our user base, the companies which are currently using our platform. So looking at this, right? So I myself, 2 years of consulting in the space, right? So I have been seeing, a lot of thought leaders talking about it, business leaders, HR leaders talking about the hybrid work model, how it is benefiting, how it is, there are cons attached to it as well. So before any organization adopts to any kind of hybrid work model, it is very important to understand the readiness, right? There is a very proper process for assessing that readiness, right? It's very important to understand the subject widely. So the idea of getting into this series, this came because we realized that these are some of the trends on which people are actually interested and they want to converse on it. But so we thought People Matters will give us that opportunity, right? So that is one of the reasons of us being here and being part of this session. Right. So in terms of hybrid work, right, what do I think? So personal opinion, it's highly productive. I'm still at home, right? Virtual background. So looking at that, right? So I personally believe that it's great, right? In terms of it boosts your creativity, right? You get to work whichever way you want, left and right? So everything is flexible. uh, Lower office costs, right? That is one of the factors, right? So we ourselves have been operating in that model for a period of time, and I think People Matters moved into that as well, right? So this is definitely a cost-effective model. Plus, it brings in more efficiency in terms of when people operate. So looking at all these factorials, it was important to understand, right, which of the workforce we need to push across, or what we don't, right? And the other aspect of looking at it is important is because we, as a technology provider, we also want to work on those areas where we can actually bring in these improvements, right? So there are generic problems attached to the model as well, right? Like, let's say, scheduling meetings, right? So this is something which has become extremely difficult, and there has to be a certain amount of punctuality and coordination in terms of driving the culture of the organization. Having, there was a vibe of office, right? So that's how I see it, right? So being in office was a vibe. Now that vibe is gone. How do we connect people to the culture of the organization, right? Every organization exists for a certain purpose. How to connect those people, how to connect your employees with that purpose. So these are some of the things which have started to come in play, right? So I think this the old normal is never going to come back. Hybrid is something that we're going to stick with, or it's going to stay here for a period of time, with a lot of tech giants actually just making a declaration that we're going to operate on 100% work from home model. We are looking at hybrid as something, as a sustainable solution down the line. So back to you, Drishti.
Thank you, Kshitij, for sharing those insights and numbers. I think data points really help. And as you rightly mentioned, we all are now aware of the benefits of the hybrid work model, but there are a lot of critical touch points or areas which need attention. And I think the biggest challenge HR leaders have right now is that how do you implement these models at work and make them work in a way that fuels productivity and performance for each and every employee working from anywhere. And that's what I think Nishi will cover in the next segment. And Fynd is, I think, not just experimenting with, but experiencing a lot of success also with this hybrid work model. And we would love to hear Fynd's story. Nishi, so over to you.
Thank you so much, Drishti. Yes, Find is experimenting, and with the past 2 years, we have gained a lot of insights. We have learned from our experiments, of course, and we have built a strategy which is working very well for us. So definitely, I'll take us through the entire process. Let's start with the presentation. Okay. Yes. All right. So the key takeaways from this session would be we will be starting with the why hybrid working became so popular, a quick note around that. Then what are hybrid working models to choose from? Of course, there are various types, so we'll be discussing those. Then the benefits and challenges of hybrid model. Then finds way of approaching this particular scenario. Then how to choose and finalize a working model which would suit your business the best. Okay, so before that, let's have a look at what is happening across the world in terms of companies choosing hybrid. Right, for most employers and employees, like Kshitij mentioned, there's no going back to the normal ways of working which was in 2019. A lot of people are actually sorry. Um, So a lot of people are actually preferring hybrid working. For employers, they are still deciding what would suit the best, but for employees it is pretty clear. They feel they are extremely productive working from home, and their work life balance is good. They get to stay with their family, eat good food at home, which is of course one of the important factors for a lot of people. So yes, working remotely and working hybrid is something which is preferred by the employees. A memo by Elon Musk in Tesla triggered a lot of chat around what would work the best. Right, he wants people to work from office, which inspired a lot of other business leaders across the world to approach this again differently. They want people on site working from office mandatorily, and they did implement it in their company, which I'm sure led to a bit of attrition in the company. But other giants like Spotify, Meta, Atlassian, they are following the remote working model, and hybrid working model is definitely the option for many others. Coming to the Indian scenario, so in India, startups like Meesho, Flipkart, they are offering fully remote jobs, not just flexible working, but fully remote jobs, and which makes them a really attractive employer. And this is followed by a lot of startups across the country. Um, MNCs like TCS, Credit Suisse, Cognizant, Microsoft, who have offices in India, are giving employees more flexibility around choosing the working hours and working days. They are choosing for hybrid. Infosys and Wipro, they did start phased work from office, but now are continuing the hybrid model. A recent study said that 24% of Indian employers agreed that hybrid working is the way forward, which is a good news for the HR team, that we will be leading this hybrid working model and ensuring that the organization is succeeding in this. So, a lot of work for the HR team. Right. So, how do you choose the working model which would suit your organization? So, what we do at Find is we conduct a 6 monthly survey wherein we survey or a feedback form which we circulate in the company, and we take inputs from everyone around what is working for them, what is not working for them, are they liking the culture, are they having growth opportunities, or are they learning on the job, are they doing well. Well-being questions are also a part of the survey, and the recent survey was majorly around working from office or working remotely would be their choice. So feedbacks are an excellent way of understanding the sentiments of your people, understanding them better, and analyzing them would actually get you started on deciding what would work the best for your organization. So, in my organization, it's a pretty a young workforce. We have our average, the average age of the people in our company is 27. So, based on that, a lot of people actually prefer work from office. These are the people who are the extroverts in the company, and they love socializing and they love collaboration. So they want to actually come to office every day and be with their team and actually experience the office culture. There are 33% of the people who actually they want to work completely remote. These are the people who moved from their hometowns to tier 1 cities, and they were living in metros just to provide for their families, and now that they have gone home and they realize that working from home also they can have the same income and then same productivity and deliver the same results, then why not work remotely? So these are the people who prefer working remotely. And then there is 33% people who prefer the hybrid setup. They want more flexibility. They don't want to come to office every day, but yes, 3 days a week, 2 days a week, whenever they are struggling at work, they might want to come to office, have a chat with their lead or with their team, and get things streamlined and get things working for them. So as per our survey, we had a mix of what our people want, and based on that we have come up with a strategy. Before that, I would like to discuss the common issues which our people actually brought up. First was, of course, safety concerns. COVID, though the symptoms have minimized right now, you recover within 7 days, but COVID is a serious concern because it has a long-term effect on your body, which is not good. So still, people are scared of this, and we should be. So this was one of the major reasons why people don't want to come back to office. Then, of course, commute time in tier one cities like Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, it's very difficult to. The commute time is really long, and it's very difficult to do it every day after the entire gap of working from home. Travel expense, definitely. Then relocation, yes, for those people who went back to their hometowns, relocation to to the tier one city is definitely expensive, as well as emotionally very difficult. Then work life balance, yes, it was good at home. Now coming to tier one cities and again resuming full time work from office is going to be difficult. Here, there is one major concern which our people also brought up, which was bias in work from office and work from home. So this I would like to spend 2 minutes talking about this. So proximity bias is a real challenge which the HRs of today are facing. So in this actually means that people who show up in office, people who are actually coming to office every day, they have more advantage over the people working from home, simply because they get a lot of visibility in terms of their work, and they show up every day. And if at all their manager, if at all the leaders of the company have a new project, they are an immediate choice because they are seen roaming around in the office, and they are right there present to take up the project. So this proximity bias is a real challenge where we will have to definitely work on, so that there is equal opportunity for people working from office and working from home. So the hybrid setup will have this as a major challenge, right? So based on all this feedback from our people, and based on the insights which we got based on our survey, there were four options to choose from. These are what I would call hybrid work models. First is flexible hybrid work model. In this, you provide complete flexibility to your people, to flexibility to choose the location. If you have branch offices, they can choose any of the branch offices. Then flexibility of choosing the working hours, flexibility of choosing the working days. So this work model is extremely in favor of the employees. Then comes the fixed hybrid work model. In this, for example, team A can work on Mondays and Wednesday, team B can work on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you have set days where teams can work from office, and the other days they can continue remote working. So this is one really good option in terms of building teams, simply because they meet up in office, and you get best of both, working from office and working from home. They meet up in office, there's a lot of collaboration, there's a lot of team building. Third is office first hybrid work model. This is in office, you work full time in office, but you offer 4 to 5 days a month as remote working, which they can choose from. So Fine used to follow this before the pandemic. We used to have a 4 to 5 days of remote working available for the people, and majorly it was in office, on-site job for the people. This is one of the popular hybrid work models for companies who are forced to go back to work. Then we have the remote first hybrid work model. Here you continue remote working, and once a week or once a month, you all can get together and do some brainstorming, planning the roadmap, and streamlining of your work. And this is one another popular way of working for the companies who prefer remote first approach. Now, what is Find doing about the entire deciding which work model works the best for them? So, based on the results which I just presented, we have decided that we will let the leaders and the team decide which work model would suit them the best. So right now, Find is following almost all four work models. Depending on the team, the work model changes. So, for example, for teams like engineering, where extensive collaboration is required because Find is building a lot of tech products right now. So, extensive collaboration is required, and those teams have been given the office first hybrid model to work on. They work 4 days a week, 1 day they work from home. There are certain teams like the finance team and then the business teams who are given the flexible hybrid working model. They can choose the days they want to be in office. They have weekly meetings, and then since it's a business development job, they anyways have to travel a lot. So for them, a flexible working model is what is working. So based on each team survey results, we have studied, we have analyzed, and we have ensured that the teams have come up with a strategy which works best for them. For the people success team, of course, we will not have as much impact working from home as we would if we were in office, since we need to interact, we need to work closely with almost all the teams. We work from office, but we are not we are following the fixed hybrid working model, where 3 days we have decided these 3 days we will be working from office. All the learning events, all the training events, all the employee engagement events, we are planning during those days in office. So this is the Find's way of working. To facilitate or to address the relocation problem, we have set up regional offices in Bangalore, Noida, and Ahmedabad, and we plan to set up to capture 2, 3 more cities, so that people will not have to come all the way or relocate all the way to Mumbai. Of course, some people will continue remote, but they will always have an option of choosing a nearby office rather than coming all the way to Mumbai. So regional offices is way to go if you have a team which is expanding like ours. So Find was a 200 member company. Today it is a 200 member company when the lockdown actually happened in March 2020. Today we are 750 people, so almost 3 times the team which we had before the lockdown, and all of them have joined remotely. uh, and now they have started coming to office, and looking at the office, they more and more people actually want to resume office. So yes, so regional offices is something which is working for us. And of course, hybrid working, we find doesn't follow a strict in time out time. We have flexible working hours, flexible working days. So that is what we have decided, based on the team, based on our people's way. Now, how are we ensuring that these teams are performing well, or they are high performing teams? Now, Find has always had this open learning policy or a continuous learning policy, where we ensure that each and every person is continuously learning on the job. We have a dedicated L&D team which plans 4 to 5 sessions every month and ensures that everybody is aligned towards their learning goals. They have it in attached to their own OKR, so that they are not just doing the regular 9 to 5 job, but they are learning on the job and they are growing along with the organization. So this is followed from right from the founders till the the most junior people in the company. They need to ensure that they have some learning goals for themselves. So building a continuous learning culture will get you there. Then of course, vacations are our favorite mode of team bonding, employee engagement, you can say. We had this since I think 2015. In vacations, what we do is the entire team goes to a nice tourist location for a week, and so they have brainstorming sessions, they have team building sessions, and a majority of the products which we have developed, they are a result of these vocations. The brainstorming sessions which happened in a nice scenic location where you switch off your regular task and you focus on things which we can innovate, which we can build, actually puts you or actually gives you great new ideas for new businesses, new products. So vacations have been a very popular pick amongst our teams, and we always look forward to it. It actually sets high. Every vocation gives. We come back with a huge number of ideas to execute, and this actually helps us keep motivated. And we actually deliver a great deal of products, or you can say output after the vocation. So yes, that is there. Then work weeks are, we have recently introduced work weeks where the teams come to our head office in Mumbai for a week. We discuss the plans, roadmap for our products, for our work, and we go back and we work from our respective branches, or we work remotely. So work weeks are again something which is helping us drive the performance within the company. Leadership summit. Like I mentioned, a majority of our leaders joined remotely in the past 2 years. So aligning the leaders to the company vision and the founders' vision is extremely important. Not just to keep them motivated, to keep their teams also motivated, right? The leadership summit are events which happen every 6 months, where the founders spend time with each of the leads and align them towards their goals, align them toward their path, if there are some trainings required for the leaders to manage the distributed teams, we align those during that time. And of course, setting the roadmap and timelines and deadlines is what is done during the leadership summit. And apart from that, people working remotely or people working in distributed teams will once a while will want to come together for better collaboration. So we have tied up with co-working spaces where they can book space for a day and they can come together, collaborate, and of course set the roadmap for the product. So these are the ways in which we are currently working with the distributed teams to ensure there are some really good results in terms of our OKRs, which you also can implement. But how do we ensure that we have success, not just for the organization but for the employees also? We need to ensure success for everyone. So this was one of the major reasons why we named the HR team as people success team, because once the pandemic started, the HR team was suddenly the center of everything, managing everything, taking care of everything. So we renamed our team to people success, and we are ensuring that we are providing opportunities or ensuring policies and procedures which ensure success not just for the employees but for the businesses also. So starting first is the culture curry. Yes, you need to have the perfect recipe for your culture. Core values are something which needs to be in place. It needs to be followed in every process and procedure in your company. The behaviors of the leaders, the behaviors of your team members, everything should be aligned towards your culture. You need to protect and preserve your culture in the distributed team format also. Hybrid working will be definitely a challenge. Culture building in a hybrid setup would definitely be a challenge, but if you have documented your culture. So what we have done is we have built an employee culture book which talks about the awesome culture which we have at Find, what is expected of you, what you can demand from your manager. Like, you need to have one-on-ones, you need to have your growth plan in place, your development plan in place. So all these things you can demand as a team member, a team, what you can demand as a from what sort of support you can demand from your team. So all this we have documented in a culture book, which is something which gives an idea to a remote joiner what to expect if from the company and its culture, right? So this remotely joined person, once he comes to office, he experiences all every bit of it, and that is what makes the hybrid culture really awesome. That even if he joins remotely, if he's coming for a vacation, if he's coming for a work week, he experiences that, and he is 100% sure this is the best place to work. So this is one way which we where we are ensuring or we are preserving the culture which we have at Find. Then continuous learning, yes, I just discussed about continuous learning. Continuous learning is something which benefits not just the employee, he gets to build his profile, his career, but also for the employers. If they have a continuous learning workforce, it becomes easier for them to promote from within rather than bringing in talent from outside. So for it's a win-win for employers as well as employees. Coming to growth opportunities, it is essential for the companies also to provide growth opportunities for their employees. There are two main reasons why people leave an organization is because they don't have enough growth or they don't have enough compensation. But in today's world, compensation, I think a lot of organization has revised their compensation ladder after the pandemic. So compensation has not been a major problem for this startups like Find, but growth opportunity is definitely something which will make your people leave. So for the employees, it is essential that they provide enough learning and growth opportunities within the organization, and for the employees to reach out and grab these growth opportunities which the employers are providing for them. Then in a hybrid setup or a distributed setup, it is easier for like we discussed about proximity bias, it is easier to feel lost during the entire remote working or a hybrid working. So the best way, what we believe, is to have a proper performance management system in place, a proper goal setting in place. So what we are doing is we are implementing a OKR management tool where the company OKRs would be divided into team OKRs. Team OKRs would be further divided into leads or manager OKR, and those will be further broken down into individual OKRs. This way, it will be easier for us to keep a track of each individual's performance, and to some extent the proximity bias would be resolved using this tool or using this method. So this is something we are really hopeful about. And this there are many OKR tools available in the market, and we will be choosing one by end of the next month, and we'll definitely get to know how it works out. Next is flexibility and well-being. Yes, now that people are so demanding flexibility at work, all the employers will need to ensure that they are providing flexibility in terms of work, in terms of location, in terms of working hours to their people. And it is important for the employers also, and it is important for the employees also. And it will ensure that both of them are in sync, and the organization is coming up with a strategy which provides success not just for employers but employees. And well-being, we have set up a separate well-being team. This was essential simply because of the COVID situation. We all talk about well-being, companies being people-centric and everything, but um, a dedicated well-being team is what will make you stand apart, where people are so we get in touch with people who are affected by COVID. We help them with whatever they need, getting tests done, or arranging online consultations, or even arranging beds for people who need hospitalization. Well-being has become a very important part of the HR team, and continuing to have well-being team, and ensuring there are enough uh, initiatives in terms of um, uh, building better health for our people is something which will make your company stand apart. So well-being is one factor which you will have to consider if you want to have success have a successful hybrid working model. um, One last, I would like to conclude with this one last quote, or one last post by Adam Grant, and he talks about the flexibility of people and why it's important. And I completely agree and stand by it, that the flexibility people want most isn't remote work. It is to set their own hours. They want to control their time, to choose when and how much they work. Offering freedom sounds like a risk, but squashing it is also a risk. Stars are the first ones to leave. So, with this, I would like to conclude. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Thank you for sharing those insights and taking us through some journey of identifying what's the right model that works for you, and then also enabling your team to really come together, connect with each other, and also connect with the company vision and culture, and aligning everyone. Because as you share, you've onboarded a great percentage of your team, I think, in the uh, when the times were tough and we were all working from home mostly. So I think some great lessons and insights over there. Thank you, Nishi. So I think in terms of the first question that comes to my mind as we wait for the questions from the audience as well. One of the biggest questions is that when people are choosing, and I know you have in a way touched upon those aspects, what people need to keep in mind when they are choosing that right model for them. But when they are doing that, who do you think are important stakeholders to involve when you are making that decision? And what is one thing that is completely non-negotiable when you are designing that model?
Okay, so the first part of the question, important stakeholders, definitely your people, right? If you have a team of 50 people and if 35 of them are saying they want to work remotely, then of course remote is the way to go. But if you have a 25% people saying that they want 25%, sorry, 50% want to work from office, 50% want to work remotely, then you can go for hybrid, where you either go with flexible hybrid or you go with fixed hybrid, so that at least the important aspects of why first of all you're choosing hybrid, why not fully remote. You're choosing hybrid because your goals are not being met, your OKRs are not being met. That is the reason you're going for hybrid, right? And in that case, it is a requirement of the business to have people in office, then definitely you will have to either go with flexible or fixed hybrid model. And the stakeholders would be the people. So we have this term called DRI, which is direct responsible individual. So each of the task has a owner, right? The owner is responsible to deliver the particular OKR. And if he is in favor of remote working, if he is assuring that he and his team will get the work done remotely, then yes, he is one of the person we need to consider or important stakeholder in the decision making. And so all these product owners together, they discuss with their team, and if they are convinced that their team will deliver remotely, then that's the way to go. If they feel that full working from office is required to deliver the OKRs, then that's the way to go. So these product owners or these task owners is what we consider as important stakeholders in deciding these factors.
All
And
right.
yes, um,
Okay.
there was some
So
second question. Sorry, I missed
yeah,
that.
the second part of the question was that what is the non-negotiable, that a key pillar, a key element that can't be compromised when we are designing that hybrid experience for employees.
Safety, of course. Safety of our people is something which cannot be negotiated, right? So yes, in a hybrid working model, there is a risk, but if at all, there was an incident in Fynd where a vendor had come to visit, and he tested positive, the COVID positive immediately next day. So we shut down our offices for an entire week to ensure that Um, people are safe and at home, and they are not spreading the COVID virus anywhere. So safety is the non-negotiable term. If the cases are rising, we will definitely go back to completely remote, but that is something we do not compromise on.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Kshitij, I think you spoke about this earlier as well. And there's this entire piece on, because hybrid or remote model as such gives this need to invest in technology as well. And especially when we talk about ensuring productivity and performance. And, Nishi spoke about KRAs and attaching that also. But how do you implement it for a workforce that's largely distributed, and how can technology help over there?
Right. So, great question, Drishti. So, in 2020, right, we saw this question coming, in bold actually. So, if I talk about like how did we see it, HR has n number of functions, job functions that they take care within the organization. Now, almost all of those job functions needed a reform, right? So for us as a technology vendor, it was very important to understand that what these migrations are, right? So we were serving somewhere close to 4,000, 5,000 customers at that point of time as well. So it was slightly easier for us rather than our customers, right? So we immediately realized that we can't be the seeker here, we have to be the provider, right? So initial 1 month of research and getting in touch with different thought leaders, industry wise, we came across that there were certain menial functions which were required to be changed in technology from all the different aspects. Like so the major hit that we took, right, in terms of the HR processes, the hit that they took was in terms of the operational fronts, right? Now let's say shifts management, right? Every organization, one way or the other, if they are working in multiple shift scenario, this in itself become a big problem, right? Because most of the HR technologies, even our HR technology, it was functioning in a manner that where shifts could be created for people, right, and HRs were taking care of it. But right after COVID, all of this actually went in control of the end users directly, right? So employees were checking if they are fine, whenever they are fine, right? So all of that functionalities were required to be built into the system. So we brought in those set of features, like let's say, we built a shift scheduler in our platform, which helps managers schedule shifts, assign shifts to people whenever they want, right? They can design a roster. So these were all some of these features which actually which HR departments leveraged and make sure that these hybrid models, or all the n number of hybrid models, as Nishi said, right, there are n number of models also, right? So all these models, some of these functions came handy, right? Other than this, we already had a mobile application, right? So at least one thing with our platform which was easier for people was that HR, we took HR on mobile, right? So these employees, any point of time they wanted to get in touch with HR department, the usual mechanism is giving a call. Again, that's difficult, right? Because there's no tracking happening on that. Dropping mails, right? Again, when will I follow up on that? All of those questions were there, right? So we built features like help desk, right, where grievance modules are available, right, where you can build categories and employees can directly come and get in touch with the required people, right? So increasing these collaborations, right, and identifying the right trigger points for the workflows, right? Like let's say in certain scenarios we saw that shift was not even something which managers were designing. This was something which employees checked if they were feasible, they were coming to office. If it was not feasible, they were not. So we built those functionalities. So now in the system, even the end user can come and they can they can ask on which days they want to take the holidays, on which days they want to work on what shift, right? So all these functions become extremely easy, right? So choosing the shift option we built because there was a vaccination drive going on and a lot of people were in the morning, they were queued up for all one or the other thing, so they wanted to change their shifts as per convenience, right? So these were things. And again, in terms of the other thing that Nishi was highlighting, right, the performance frameworks, right? So performance frameworks, there are vivid performance frameworks. Now, one is like OKR is one methodology, right, where objectives and key results, which is connecting directly to the purpose of the organization, is required. So we built an OKR methodology in our platform, a continuous methodology where a constant collaboration against the objectives and key results can happen for employees. Other than this, we also started building day-to-day collaboration. So again, the other thing, culture was going for a toss, right? As people are not interacting with each other, right? The bondings that teams had when they worked in office and the bondings for the remote workers was something totally different. So we realized that this loss of culture and the loss of the relationship that's happening between between the employees in the organization, we wanted to build that bridge that can actually work, right? So we built a recognition platform where people can come and constantly drop appreciations, or a certain amount of recognition exercise could be done. You can drop the areas of improvement that employees had, right? So all these things become extremely easy, right? Other than this, the OKR frameworks, we also built the competency and the core values framework, right? So you can build, you can run different kind of engagement exercises, like let's say core values, right? Every organization has certain core values on which they don't want to compromise. So employees can really drop suggestions, in terms of what core values they are practicing, how are they inhibiting the core values which company wants them to. Other thing was developing an employee. That was also a problem because again, employee not being in office, I do not know how to train them, right? How effective is my training? The assessments again were coming out negative, and there was no way that we could actually elevate this. So we thought that giving all these transparency to end user was important. So we brought in a competency framework where you can feed, job wise, designation wise, whichever way your pivot is, you can actually fix the competencies which are required by employees. So this actually, with n number of learning management platforms coming in, right, and edtech taking the kind of jump that it did in last 2 years, these competency mapping actually helped people in finding out the right subjects that they want to train themselves into, right? So more importantly, more than organization developing people, it was people developing people, right? So they themselves were conscious enough to constantly try. So all these things were the things. We are still building a lot of things, like I've came across some complex practices as of now as well, where like within a day multiple shifts are required. Maybe first half I want to work from office, second half I want to be at I want to be at home, because that I can manage, right? So all these functionalities we are tracking, we are keeping, we are conducting constant surveys, and we're building technology accordingly. So Keka is a true plug and play platform, right? So you can just simply go feed in your data and synchronize the settings and start using it. So the way we want to develop this is it's industry wise best practices platforms, where you simply come and you onboard yourself in a very easy manner to the best practices possible. Drishti, back to you.
Thank you, Kshitij. And I think both Nishi and you have kind of emphasized on how, in the current world of work, has become very employee driven and centric, and they are the ones who are, having the maximum control, and they are now the end users. And we've HR leaders probably play a role of an enabler or a catalyst, but ultimately we are giving the power to the employees themselves to take their decisions, their own learning, have their own learning paths, create their own performance goals, and etc. And even how, where, and when they want to work. So I think that also brings me to the last part of the conversation. And I think before we close, I want to ask both of you, it as we are discussing that the employees are now on the driving seat, what do you think is one thing that HR leaders must start doing to ensure that they stay on the top of the game in this war of talent and the great resignation that we are talking about, and be the employer of choice that attracts and retains the top talent? So, what is the one thing that you feel HR leaders must start doing to ensure that? Anyone can go first. Nishi, you can go first.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Drishti. This is a very interesting question. And this is something I'm really passionate about is, and I keep chasing my leaders to keep a focus of our HR team on that one factor, which is continuous learning, right? Continuous learning and continuous growth, that is the EVP which we have set up for our organization. And I strongly believe in that, right? Your perks, your benefits, your compensation, all of that, end of the day, uh, comes back to the things you deliver or the problems you solve for the company, that decides all of that, right? In Find, we have a lot of young people who join the company. They learn, they pick up things, they learn, they take up new courses, they take up new tracks, and they are promoted very fast compared to any other organization, simply because they are learning on the job, they're getting things done, and they are moving up the ladder faster than anyone. So this is a one important factor which will set your company apart, is providing the opportunities which people look for once they get bored on the job, right? You work on the same job for 2 years and then you start looking out. So in Find, you will never find people leaving for growth opportunities, at least, because that is something we provide within the company. We are building multiple products in the company. A person working as a normal catalog specialist or something is has the opportunity of taking up project management, product management, and learning those skills which are required, and then taking a transition, taking a shift within the organization. So whatever you want to do, whatever you want to learn, if you're getting to do it within the organization, why will anyone want to leave the company, right? And it will definitely be an attractive place for any talent out there.
Thank you. Yeah, I think career growth had been one of the biggest reason also that triggered the great resignation. So
Yes,
that's
yes.
that's a great focus area. Thank you, Nishi, for sharing that. Kshitij, over to you.
Right. So I totally agree with what Nishi said. Right. On top of it, I personally believe that solving a problem, right, or you were asking me the problem, right, and the thing that we should be focusing on, it's the first step always will be identifying the problem properly, right? So it is very important now to conduct all the different kind of pulse surveys that we always were planning as an HR department. Of course, the operational things don't let us do that every now and then, but now these things are very critical. We ourselves, as a, we wanted to boost these communications with the employees, so we launched a pulse module, where you can come and have different kind of pulse surveys, right? Like on different important criteria like employee happiness index, employee growth index, right? So Nishi was also highlighting about all the critical things which, the way people look at the job or they look at the employer, right? So this includes, we have like 6 to 7 great surveys feeded in our platform, which you can constantly run, with a certain schedule. It will give you a very graphical detail of how your happiness index is going up or down, right? So keeping a constant track and taking these strategic decisions, right, based upon the pulse is very important now. A lot of times these decisions are, of course, taking away the efficiency of business model. But again, just to ensure that there is not attrition is the biggest threat all the time, right? So just to control that, I think a lot of other compromises we should be making based upon that. So yeah,
Yeah.
the service. Drishti.
Yeah, I think that's a great insight. Having that curiosity to, consistent curiosity to identify the problems. I think that's a great starting point. And this is the right time, because this is the stage where most of the leaders are reinventing their models and relooking at their talent strategies. And because it's the we've in the 2 years we've been in that experimentative and chaotic reinvention kind of phase, and now is when we are making some deliberate efforts. So I think this is just the right time. Thank you, Nishi and Kshitij. I think it was a wonderful conversation. Thank you for sharing all your insights. Thank you once again to the entire KK team for helping us curate this series of masterclass. It has been, I think, a great series of learnings and takeaways on critical topics when it comes to building successful SMEs altogether. We discussed strategy execution, we discussed digital transformation, and today we discussed the innovative ways of working as well. So thank you to the audience as well for being such a kind, patient, participative audience. And with this, we wrap up this masterclass series. And for more details and insights, do keep following SME Corner, because we do have a lot of things coming up for you. We have a research coming up. We also have a conclave coming up for all of you. So see you there. Take care. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nishi.
Thanks
Thanks,
so
Kshitij.
much.